You believe that Dick Cheney, George Bush, and the whole administration should be prosecuted for their acts? But if that is the case, then we should prosecute. We should have prosecuted Harry Truman. Should have prosecuted Abraham Lincoln. Should have prosecuted Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Are you for that?
They're dead.
But if you talk about justice,
they're dead.
So if they were, would you prosecute?
Reality. You're giving me a hypothetical that's bullshit.
I'm giving you a hypothetical because you're making up your Rosie O'Donnell-like scandals that says that 9/11 was an inside job.
Well, why are you not allowed to ask anything about it?
No,
why
you're
when you
concluded.
approach the government I approach the government.
I read everything possible. I watched all the hearings. You're right. I haven't read. You looked at my reading list. Have you read the 9/11 report and you think it's a piece of fiction?
No, I believe everything in it. I believe my government's never lied to me, have they? Let's see, where should we start? The Gulf of Tonkin incident? Now that took us into war in Vietnam. They've now admitted it was a lie. So 58,000 of my generation were killed based upon a lie. But that doesn't count, does it?
What does that have to do with 9/11?
That shows that we will lie to go to war. We've been doing it for years. We will continue to do it. The Gulf of Tonkin incident, did you believe that? Well, you probably weren't alive then.
I apologize for not being alive then.
Well,
it won't happen again.
Well, I was alive.
Okay.
But and I remember our president sitting on TV telling us our boys are floating in the water.
Because of that, you'll never believe it.
False.
And because of that, you'll never believe it.
But they lie all the time. Have you been in government? No, I have.
All right, so that's for. So I've never been in the NFL, but I can watch a football game and see what's going on.
Why do we have the CIA embedded in all state government when their mission statement says that they're not?
The question. You just say one thing. You don't think the CIA has our best interests in mind. You don't think our intelligence branch.
I never said any of that.
But your questions and conclusions only lead to that one statement. Did you think everyone's against America?
No,
the government's
that's
against
not
America?
True. Always remember, dissension's the greatest form of patriotism. Tom Jefferson said that.
Tom, you were alive then?
No. You're gonna insult me.
I gotta go to radio. Yeah. All right, Jesse. Take care. He's leaving.
Jesse, I do have to say that I think Brian probably has read every word from the whole 9/11 situation. He's passionate about it, as you can see.
Well, I am too.
But and I agree with you that there's been covert activity over time, no doubt, where the government has not told its people every single thing that's gone on. I don't think
they rarely do.
But when it comes to 9/11, are you so sure?
No.
Okay.
No, but I ask questions, and what perturbs me is that you don't get answers. Nobody wants to talk about it. This event that changed our entire history of our country, why aren't we allowed to discuss it? Why aren't we allowed to ask questions? The moment you do, you get a reaction like he gave me. How dare you? How dare you question your government?
So what are your questions?
My questions are simple. I worked in demolition. I'm a former frogman, underwater demolition team. I know how to blow things up. How could the buildings fall at the rate of gravity? basic physics tells you that can't happen.
Yeah.
And how did the cement get so pulverized? Just simply from falling, it was blown into dust? What energy was required to pulverize all that cement
So
into
what
dust?
conclusion do you draw?
I don't know, but I certainly question, and yet I'm attacked when I question. You notice how if you bring up 9/11 and they have any questions about it, immediately everyone attacks you over it, tells you you're crazy, calls you Rosie O'Donnell, insult you. Why? Because I ask questions?
I think a lot of people, Jesse, figure, well, you know, that 9/11 report came out and it said it was those guys over there. It was those Al Qaeda guys. So people just go, okay, they formulated an opinion
Yeah.
in reasoned manner, and that's what happened. Now, they can't know for sure that all of that happened per se, but you know, you do ask a lot of questions, and that's what your book
Is about.
Don't Start the Revolution Without Me is about.
We're talking about the synagogue of Satan. 6 months before the 9/11 attacks, the World Trade Center was purchased by the Silverstein Group. I guess by that name, you might know that Mr. Silverstein might claim to be Jewish. But he bought the World Trade Center for $3.2 billion. Even though the building, when it was built full of asbestos, and it would take darn near that amount of money to destroy the building and clean it. Larry Silverstein took out insurance coverage on the property, which fortuitously covered acts of terrorism. The total potential payout is $4.6 billion, and Mr. Silverstein has been paid. The result of a court ruling, Silverstein makes a huge profit off of the 9/11 attacks. And if you follow the money, you'll begin to see the synagogue of Satan at work. Now, George W. Bush's brother was a director, and his cousin was the CEO of the security firm responsible for the electronic security network of the World Trade Center prior to and during 9/11. At least one security guard at the World Trade Center reported the abrupt removal of explosive sniffing dogs 5 days prior to 9/11. Isn't that interesting? Let's go on. No steel-framed building before or since 9/11 has ever collapsed due to fire. The World Trade Center buildings were designed to withstand the impact of airlines because they were at that time the tallest buildings in the world. The melting point of steel is about 2,700 degrees Fahrenheit. The temperature of jet fuel fires does not exceed 1,800 degrees Fahrenheit. So the buildings cannot have collapsed due to heat from the fires. Why were people seen in the gaps left by the plane impacts if the heat from the fires behind them was so excessive? Listen. Why were there two distinct spikes, one for each tower, seen in seismic records before the towers collapsed? How could the World Trade Center towers collapse in free fall speed? Only 11 seconds for World Trade Center 1 and 9 seconds for World Trade Center 2, speeds that approximate that of a ball dropped from similar height with no air resistance. Why did so many people, including the New York Fire Department, report hearing many explosions at street level prior to the towers falling? Who were those men on top of a van with a tripod and camera across the Hudson River filming the towers before the first plane hit? How did they know to be there? And why were they celebrating? The police arrested them and let them go into Israeli custody. Why? Now, building number 7, a 47-story skyscraper and part of the World Trade Center complex was not struck by a plane, but it collapsed in 6.5 seconds at 5:20 p.m. on September the 11th in the exact manner of a controlled demolition. Why was the U.S. military explosive thermate found in the dust of the World Trade Center? Now you might say, well, all right, let's see if our government lies and does things and takes innocent life for other purposes. This is the end of my lecture today. Did you know that the United States wanted control over Puerto Rico, the Philippines, and Guam? So President William McKinley lied about an explosion on board the USS Maine anchored in Havana Harbor that killed 260 American servicemen. They said Spain did it, but they offered no evidence. And because of that war, the Spanish-American War, the U.S. gained control over Cuba and the Philippines and Puerto Rico, Cuba in particular, so that the island could be open to United Fruit Company and other American corporations. Did Lyndon Baines Johnson lie to get us into a major war in Vietnam? The official story was that the North Vietnamese torpedo boats launched an unprovoked attack against a U.S. destroyer on routine patrol in the Tonkin Gulf on August 2nd, 1964, and that the communists followed up with a deliberate attack 2 days later. None of this was true. President Lyndon Baines Johnson used the fabricated incident to justify a momentous escalation in the war, ultimately leading to over 56,000 American deaths and millions of Vietnamese casualties. Now, when John Fitzgerald Kennedy was the president, Castro was in power in Cuba and they wanted to invade Cuba. Did you know that there was a memo from the Pentagon to the president? We could develop a communist Cuban terror campaign in the Miami area, in other Florida cities, and even in Washington. We could blow up a U.S. ship in Guantanamo Bay, the American military base in Cuba, and blame Cuba. Casualty lists in U.S. newspapers would cause a helpful wave of national indignation. Later, the Pentagon even suggested attacking Jamaica or Trinidad and Tobago and making it look as if the Cubans were responsible, hoping this might force Britain into a war on Fidel Castro. This is America. They don't care nothing about human life when it stands in the way of a political and economic objective.
More. What is the black goo and what does it do? So in this video, we're going to explore the black goo from Prometheus and Alien Covenant and find out, what does it do? Black goo, what does it do? The exact workings of the substance is not explicitly explained in Prometheus nor in Alien Covenant. Prometheus lets us hear one theory, uttered by Captain Janek, who believes the alien ship's cargo of urns is a payload, a weapon built to destroy. David, the android, seeks to uncover its purpose by testing it on Holloway, unknowingly. Since the substance is shown to have both destructive and life-giving properties in the prologue of the movie, based on comments from Ridley Scott, the substance is believed to be a catalyst for evolution. When exposed to it, the living subject's DNA appears to rapidly change. In the case of the worms, they're transformed into hammerpeat. The substance is believed to be a catalyst for evolution. When exposed to it, the living subject's DNA appears to rapidly change.